Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're talking 90 Day Fiance The Single Life yet again because the tell-all part 1 just aired and it's juicy. We already got some fights. I already have some questions.
Please sit down. I'm sorry.
So let's talk about it. Before we jump into all the drama and the fights, because trust me, there are a few of those this episode. First, let's start off with some news. Checking in with each of the couples, see who's still together, who's freshly single, see if anyone has any dirt to spill on anyone else, that sort of thing.
Tim's a narcissist, only cares about himself. He's 43 with roommates,
Despite my, and frankly everyone else's, skepticism, Chantel and Giannis are actually still talking.
I like Giannis so much.
Which was a little surprising to me, until Chantel clarified that there's something about a foreign man that's just so magical and captivating to her.
Something about a foreign man, it does attract me very much.
So good to see nothing's changed with Chantel. Then we move to Veronica and Tim, and oh my god!
How are things going with the two of you? Are you still together?
We are not.
Wait. You're telling me Veronica and Jamal, they didn't work out?
We are not, and things ended very badly and very quickly.
Okay,
Ended poorly? What, you mean after the last fights where they just yelled at each other and called each other names? That happened again? Okay, I gotta cool it with the stats. We're gonna talk about Veronica and Jamal later. So Veronica is freshly single, but what really surprised me was that Tim is also freshly single.
You know, we've just really not progressed at all.
And the reason I was so surprised by that is because I forgot that Tim was even a cast member this season. I mean, really, we're so used to seeing Tim and Veronica together at this point, it's easy to forget that he was also supposed to be a single on this season. It was supposed to be Veronica and Jamal, and then Tim and Louisa over here, but Tim only got 2 scenes? The scene where they first met, or I guess were reunited at that social mixer event, and then that scene where Louisa was telling Tim that, he's moving a little slow and she wants to speed things up a little bit. But even that scene was just after the dinner where Veronica and Jamal, and they all had that fight. So Tim and Louisa only had 2 scenes this whole season, and one of them was after they did the Veronica and Jamal and all that stuff. They're like, oh, this is the actually interesting stuff. Oh yeah, isn't Tim and Louisa a couple too? Hey, you guys go out on the pier and argue about some shit. I don't know. Louisa, go tell Tim that he's moves slow in relationships or whatever. I don't give a shit. Next up, we have John, who ended the season moving to Texas to be with his partner Meghan, and his big surprising news is that they're actually still together and everything is fine.
So, it's an adjustment.
there's a lot.
Debbie was asked if she's still in contact with Ruben the Cuban, and Debbie answered in the most Debbie way possible.
Yes, it's like a seed was planted in Miami, so now I'm kind of watching and seeing how it grows.
And lastly, we have Tyray, who did get the number of that one girl we saw him with at the end of the season, and they have still talked to each other since then, but the last time was a few weeks ago, and it doesn't really seem like it's really going anywhere. But Tyray's cool with that, feels like he had a successful season, and I'm happy for him. And that's it for the news for those 6 couples. A couple breakups, but lots of good vibes all around, nothing too dramatic. Okay, fine, we'll talk about Natalie. First thing with Natalie, she's asked by the host if she and Josh are still, well, actually the real first thing about Natalie, she looks different. I'm not gonna speculate why or question what might have been done since the end of the last filming. But Natalie's reminded that she broke up with Josh at the end of the season and is asked if they are still broken up.
Are you two still broken up?
And Natalie, god damn it, Natalie, she answers with this.
Well, it's an interesting question. If I give him another chance, what he asked for, I need to be really sure about him being more serious about me.
So, according to Natalie, Josh asked for a second chance after the filming, and now she's considering whether or not she should give him that second chance. Probably not. Probably not. You probably shouldn't give him another chance. Why would Josh ask that? I thought we all had closure. I thought that Josh understood that Natalie has needs and wants that he just can't meet. His life is too complicated. I thought we were all on the same page about this. Josh, I want to know. I want to know when Josh asked for a second chance. I'm just curious if, did it just happen to be asked, I don't know, right before the filming of this tell-all? Right when the two of them were thinking what they were going to say on the tell-all or what might be good, spicy news? Does it have anything to do with the timing here, Josh? Does it? All right, that's it for the news. And we're 13 minutes into the episode by now, and I haven't had a fight to watch yet. These updates have been great and all, but come on, no one's yelling at each other, no one's hurting each other's feelings. Like come on, I'm getting itchy here. We need a fight. And right on cue, like my prayers are being answered, in walks Jamal and Louisa to talk some shit to Tim and Veronica. The fight starts off when Sean, the host, plays that clip of the two of them getting into each other's faces and yelling at each other in the beginning of the season. You remember when they're all just talking, having a relatively normal conversation, when Jamal starts swearing and yelling at him and then stands up and tries to alpha male his way all over Tim.
I raised her for 12 years.
Did he?
I thought it was kind of funny that Sean plays that scene and then immediately asks them, like, hey, is that still how you guys feel about each other? Are you guys still angry about that whole thing? Like the very next scene on the show with the two of them were them apologizing and saying, yeah, I didn't really mean it, my bad. The alcohol got to me a little bit. They already recovered from this whole fight. They already squashed the beef on TV. And now the host is like, so this fight, so you still hate each other?
Do both of you stand by everything you said?
Despite the two of them having made up on camera, Jamal is still a little mad, and with some prodding by the host, ends up saying this.
Coming for me, kept saying to Veronica. Veronica has told me a lot of things, and I was just like, I'm gonna air this boy out.
It's always a boy with Jamal, isn't it? Anytime he's mad at another man, it's little boy, it's child, it's always that stuff. So Jamal is still a little mad that he hears from Veronica that Tim talks shit about him, Jamal, to Veronica. And then Jamal hears that and is upset that Tim's talking shit. That's fair. That's reasonable. But then he tries to make this claim that the two of them are living this entirely fake friendship and relationship.
The way that Veronica and Tim talk about each other to both of us, I don't even know how y'all are sitting next to each other.
And goes on to try to expose them and say, you guys are all fake. This isn't real. You guys talk shit about each other all the time. This buddy thing you do on TV, it's all a facade. And the whole time, Tim and Veronica just look at each other and smile and like, yeah, we talk shit about each other all the time. We know that.
We can be best of friends, we can be worst of enemies, but at the end of the day, we still got each other's back.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then, for some reason I can't wrap my head around, Louisa then tries to jump in and stir some more drama. And she's like, yeah, Jamal is right. Everything is fake. They just pretend to be friends. And they all pretend that everyone is so perfect and they love each other, but really they're full of shit. And Tim and Veronica still are like, yeah, we know.
Y'all are saying that like it's an epiphany. Veronica and I know we talk about each other.
You're trying to expose us as being fake because you know that we talk shit about each other? Like, yeah, we talk shit about each other. Okay. And then I guess Jamal didn't like that this wasn't working out for him because then we get this gem of an interaction.
It's a bond, number one, that...
It's stupid.
Well, that's your opinion.
No, it's fact.
Nothing you ever say, Jamal, is gonna be a fact.
Damn, that's like the coldest but also the calmest burn I've ever heard. But then we suddenly take a break from all the lighthearted fun we're having and get a little problematic. Because Jamal's all mad and threatens to show the receipts to prove that he's right, but then he calls Tim a sweetheart.
No, it's a fact, trust me. Don't get it twisted. Yeah, I have receipts too, sweetheart.
Did you call me sweetheart?
Yeah, because you're looking like one.
Okay, I interpret that one of two ways. It could be that Jamal is just going along his usual thing of trying to demasculinize any of the men that he's in a confrontation with, always calling them childish or little boy, and is going along with that by calling Tim a sweetheart in a way to kind of put him down or call him like a little girl or just something generally less masculine. Which, I mean, come on, man, it's 2024. Are we really still trying to insult people by saying they're not masculine enough for your personal tastes? So maybe Jamal was just trying to do his usual alpha male stuff and came up with a word that maybe wasn't the most appropriate word choice to use in that moment. Or he was trying to call Tim gay as an insult. And I mean, come on, dude, really? How old are you again, Jamal? Aren't you like 16 or something? Isn't your generation supposed to be really in tune and like aware that insulting someone based off sexuality is kind of like not cool? Also, just zooming out, because I know I'm going to get these comments. I know there are going to be a lot of people online hearing that and going, well, yeah, he does look gay. You see the way he dresses and his pants on? Yeah, he's probably gay. That's not the point. The point is not to argue or hypothesize about someone else's sexuality because it's none of our business anyway. The point is that Jamal is potentially calling Tim gay as a derogative in the middle of a fight where he's mad and trying to win a fight. And even if we give him the benefit of the doubt and he was just trying to demasculinize Tim and just call him a little man and a little boy, which already not cool, but even if he didn't explicitly mean it in a gay way, I would be surprised if it wasn't at least a little implicit. A little bit, yeah, I could call him a little man and a little boy, but I also kind of think that he's extra little man because I think he's gay. And because I might have a little suspicion or maybe he's kind of like that, then I feel even more of a man over him and more power. You know what I mean? Okay, that's all I wanted to say about that. I'd be remiss if we just walked over that Jamal potentially just called him gay on public TV to insult him, and I just brushed right past that. But instead of getting on a soapbox like I just did, Tim had a much funnier response.
Okay, do you want to me, Jamal? Like, that's kind of a strange term to say to a man.
You wish.
And Tim says again, yeah, okay, Jamal, if your whole problem with us, the whole thing you're calling us out on is that we fight and we're still friends, okay, yeah, you got us. We fight behind the scenes and we're open about that. And even Louisa, in what I think might be, allegedly, one of the worst displays of acting, tries to jump in and is like, yeah, you're fake. Yeah, not real. Got him.
You are not this person. You're fake.
I don't even like sharing the stage with you, dude.
I guess we'll find out what Louisa's problem is later, because it still doesn't make any sense to me. And then Veronica jumps in and says, yeah, we're friends, but we have grown apart. He's been really busy. We've had disagreements. It's not like everything is perfect.
The relationship that Tim and I have is not the relationship we had 5 years ago. No. And that is just a fact. We have grown apart. He has gotten very busy.
And then Jamal has to stand up and do his stupid macho bullshit again. Just gotta take up all the space and start clapping. Everyone's attention on me. I have a point to make. Don't you know that you post on Instagram like you're together? Like, dude, relax.
Y'all post on Instagram every day like y'all are best friends, and you're not.
Okay, please sit down. Let's not.
Jamal, you can't be in a group of 12 adults and be the only one who's consistently jumping out of his chair and trying to shout over everyone else. You're the biggest person there physically. You're the tallest, you're the biggest, you're the youngest, you're the most athletic, and you're gonna jump up and lean forward and go, this is what's going on. Like, dude, we're all adults here. Relax. You can't just brute force and macho your way through every conversation. You can't just start yelling at people. You can't start insulting people. Like, dude, for how much you talk about how childish and how small everyone else is in the room, you sure act like a child. And Jamal's big point right now that he needed to stand up and shout out everyone to make is, well, you need to stop pretending like everything is perfect and you guys are great. Meanwhile, Veronica was literally just saying that they weren't the best and they've grown a little distant and busy and they have their fights. She was literally just acknowledging that very calmly. And while Jamal's sitting down, Veronica's like, yeah, I was just trying to say that. And Jamal's like, no, you spin everything. That isn't what you were trying to say, because I was definitely listening. You guys always try to spin everything like everything is perfect.
Just stop with the whole we're buddy. We have
I was
each other's
literally
back.
just saying exactly what you're saying.
No, you're not. You're gonna do that you always do and spin it and make it seem like y'all are fine.
agree.
Literally, Tim and Veronica the whole time say nothing is perfect. We yell at each other all the time. We've been together around this for like 20 years. Like, this is the dynamic we have. And even John chimes in and is like, hey, well, Veronica was just saying that, things have changed. So maybe we're not lying here.
She did say that the relationship isn't the same as it was 5 years ago, so.
And this is where I think it just gets a little embarrassing for Jamal, who thinks that this is some big reveal. He's like, Veronica, you told me that Tim is a narcissist and he's lazy and he's a bum and like doesn't help you out with parenting.
Tim's a narcissist, only cares about himself. He's 43 with roommates, like.
And Veronica and Tim, completely unfazed, no emotion. Veronica's just like, yeah, I tell him that to his face every day. He knows that. And Louisa's like, yeah, Jamal's right. Tim, she calls her a drama queen and that she's crazy. As the camera pans over to Veronica and she's just like, yeah, well, I am kind of a drama queen. I am kind of crazy. Like, the fact that none of them are fazed at all by these comments kind of proves that, yeah, they're not lying here. So it's pretty clear at this point that whatever points Jamal and Louisa were trying to make, whatever plan they had coming into this to expose Veronica and Tim and they're going to regret this, it failed. It didn't work. No one's buying it. The two of them just kind of seem angry for no reason or just trying to stir up drama for clout. It's not a good look. So in my opinion, Jamal took the L on that fight. But what about the breakup? How'd that happen? Honestly, I was going to break down the whole fights they had about how they broke up and who's at fault and you did this and you did this. But honestly, it's basically just a big he said, she said. Jamal was supposed to visit Veronica in Charlotte, but couldn't. Veronica asked why, and Jamal said, I don't owe you an explanation. And while that technically may be true, still makes you sound like an asshole. Veronica asked again a few days later why he couldn't come, and Jamal said, see you later, peace sign emoji.
Take care, and then a peace sign emoji.
Which Veronica interpreted as Jamal breaking up with her over text.
The peace sign emoji?
Yeah, quality dude.
The peace sign really does say something. If I was to be like, peace, that is a you.
Jamal disagrees with this story in two ways. First, he clarifies that message, which did not contain the peace sign emoji, was not intended by him to be the breakup message. And as far as Jamal is concerned, they never technically actually broke up.
When do you think you broke up with me?
We didn't break up
so
until you said you didn't want to. Until you said you didn't want to talk.
And secondly, he says he wasn't being a dick to Veronica for no reason. It was because Jamal's mother was going through some stuff and he was preoccupied with that, trying to help his mom. And Veronica was not very understanding, saying things like, oh, forget your mother, she doesn't need you, just come over here, like who cares, and being not understanding of his family situation.
You don't need to be there for your mom, just come to me, she can
That
do
is
that.
so not true. First of all, I even offered to come. I was supposed to go
I
to
did
San
not
Diego.
want you there.
And after hearing both sides, it sounds to me like this is just typical relationship miscommunication bullshit. It seems like Jamal was going to go to a trip to Charlotte, had to cancel. Maybe he wasn't the nicest in how he delivered this information. Maybe Veronica didn't handle it in the nicest way. Obviously, an in-person visit is really important for a long-distance relationship. Maybe Veronica felt like Jamal didn't really care as much and he's just making up excuses. And maybe Jamal feels like Veronica doesn't really understand his situation. And now they're both feeling a little hurt and a little upset with each other. And then they both get a little cold and more distant and not nice. And now both of them are kind of mad at each other. It just keeps escalating. And then at some point, Jamal just goes, you know what, I don't owe you an explanation of why. I don't want to deal with this. We're not talking, peace. And then Veronica interprets that as being broken up with, like, okay, I guess this guy doesn't like me, when Jamal was just running away from a fight, and they're just not very good at communicating. I think it's just a he said, she said, both partners are a little bit at fault, both people feel a little hurt, and who really cares? The important part is that they broke up, and they probably should be broken up because I don't think they're very compatible. I don't think they're compatible in terms of their life goals, obviously their physical location in the United States, and also their maturity levels. But the fight's not over, because in the final seconds of this whole interaction, Louisa chimes in with some extra insider tea, and she shares the gossip with everyone. She says, you know, Veronica, she's actually not a very nice person because we got drunk one time and she was saying a bunch of things that she shouldn't have said because she was drunk. And she told me that
She couldn't believe she was dating Jamal since he didn't have any job and he was trash.
Veronica referred to Jamal as trash. Veronica said she can't believe she's with Jamal because he's a loser who doesn't have a job and he's trash. I don't know if Veronica said that, but something about just referring to your partner as trash. It's just... In Veronica's defense, she's surprised. She's like, what? I've never called anyone trash. That's not something I even say. And Louisa's like, well, yeah, you were drunk. You say dumb shit when you're drunk, I guess.
Impossible.
You were drunk?
You've called Tim trash.
Impossible.
You called him trash.
And Veronica's extra mad because she thought she could trust Louisa. She stuck out for her in the past. She thought that they were fine and is now pretty hurt that Louisa would just make up lies to make Veronica look bad.
I don't need to lie, but you know.
I know you don't. That's why I'm surprised. I didn't know you and I had beef, that you're making things up now.
In fact, Veronica's so hurt that she talks shit about Louisa to her in Spanish. That's how you know she's really mad.
Yo te estaba defendiendo. Y cuando te hiciste mentirosa, ya tú moriste conmigo.
And storms off the set to collect herself. I don't know. This is another he said, she said situation, but personally, my impression of Veronica and Tim by now is they, between the two of them, probably talk a lot of trash. They probably talk a lot of smack. They probably say pretty mean, gossipy things. But then when they try talking like that to other people, or other people see the text messages between them, they don't interpret it in the same way. Maybe when Veronica and Tim talk to each other, they know that ultimately it's harmless and they're just being dramatic and exaggerating. But to someone else, they go like, wow, these people are really mean. They're really mean. It looks like they hate each other. They just gossip behind each other's backs. Like this whole facade of theirs is so fake. When really, I think the two of them just go, no, we're just talking shit. Yeah, I called her a dumb, spineless, trash coward, but I didn't mean it. You know, I tell her that to her every Tuesday. Like that's just our thing. But the outside world of Jamal and Louisa don't see it the same way. And for some reason, whether this is for TV or it's genuine on their part, they can't seem to understand that the way they talk isn't necessarily the same way that we talk. And I think it's the same thing with the trash comments. Maybe Veronica actually used the word trash when she was out and about and getting drunk. Maybe she said trash, garbage, piece of shit, something like that. But maybe when she's saying it, she's just like, no, I'm not judging him. I'm not saying he's actually bad. I'm just like, wow, I can't believe I'm dating a young person that doesn't have their shit together. You know, it's like, what a deadbeat. And then when you take it out of context, it sounds like Veronica's actually mad and really doesn't like Jamal and really looks down on him. But to her, she's like, no, I'm just talking shit. Like, I don't mean it. It's like, why are you taking it that way? And if that was the case, if that is their dynamic and other people just don't really get it, we could understand even better then when Jamal might see some of the texts that Tim sends Veronica about Jamal. And maybe Tim is saying, oh, this guy's a big loser, idiot, you know, look at his like dumb hair or whatever he's saying. And Jamal is hearing that like, oh, look how much of a negative influence he is. He's toxic. He hates me. Like that's going to ruin our relationship. But Veronica knows that, yeah, Tim's just talking shit. It doesn't actually mean it. He's just being dramatic. With that kind of dynamic, in my opinion, both parties need to do a little bit of work to understand that the way we communicate is different. If that was the case, and Veronica and Tim really did just talk really dramatically, but in a way that they knew was harmless, Veronica has to understand and have some empathy for outside people who don't see it that way. She needs to understand that, yeah, just because it's normal for us, it looks a certain way. I can understand that if you don't know Tim and I very well, how this could look really bad. She needs to have that understanding. But the Jamals of the world also have to understand that, okay, she's telling me that it's not the same, that it may sound a certain way to me, but it's not to them. And yeah, that doesn't make sense to me because that's not my way of communicating, but it does, okay, I guess I do have to just trust that she's telling me the truth. I guess I also have to accept that my normal way of communicating isn't necessarily everyone else's. In conclusion, I think like their breakup being one big allegedly miscommunication between two people who just don't really understand what the other person is saying or meaning, I think this whole Jamal is trash thing and this whole Tim and Veronica, you guys are just really fake and that this is all made up, I think all that is just miscommunication between two parties that don't really understand the other. I think ultimately that's what it comes down to. They're just not the best at communicating, they couldn't find the common ground, and they broke up. But to end things on a surprisingly good note, after Veronica collects herself for a bit, she comes back to the set, they talk again about their breakup and how it happened. Jamal actually acknowledged that he has a history of running away from confrontation and not actually dealing with it, and recognizes that that wasn't really fair to Veronica, and he even apologizes. And Veronica accepts the apology and reiterates that, no harm's done, no bad feelings, I get it.
And I'm sorry.
I appreciate the apology, like truly.
Seems like it could be rekindled maybe someday down the
thank
road.
you.
So it ended on a good note. They seem to have acknowledged some of their incompatibilities, and good for them. And I was going to talk about the next person on the show, Tyray, because he has this amazingly bad, terrible, stupid, cringy conversation with Sarper of all people, Mr. Creepy Old Steroid Womanizer guy. He starts giving Tyray advice on how to get girls. It's mind-blowingly terrible, and So I was going to talk about that in this video, but I didn't expect to rant this much about Tim and Veronica, so I think I have to leave that for another video, so be on the lookout for that one. So until next time, let me know what you thought about this couple of Jamal, Veronica, Tim, Louisa in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you enjoy my content, make sure to hit subscribe, hit the like button, ring the join button, hit the join button. That's great. Ring the bell for notifications, and every comment helps the algorithm. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one. And I hope you like the new profile picture and channel banner. Let me know what you think about that too.